All right, what's up, guys? Today we're here with Kurai, and we're actually going to be looking at his website and seeing what we can do to improve anything in terms of technical on-page, maybe off-page, looking at some of the analytics, Search Console data, and diving into basically whatever we can do to improve this site. So, so as usual, Kurai, what I do is I go into Streaming Frog and I'll start a crawl just to kind of start picking up some of the things that we might not be able to see from like the visual standpoint.
Yep.
So start on that. While that's going, we'll check out Zenu. So yeah, so one of the things we were talking about was the fact that there might be duplicate content from this site to another site because people go on here and they post basically their profiles, which are going to be very similar. So in that scenario, I mean, it might be a good idea to no index the pages with the profiles if they're going to be the exact same content on every single different website that's related to this one. I might want to ask about that before we do that, but it just isn't a good idea to have duplicate content on a bunch of pages that are on other sites because you might get hit with a penalty. But first of all, the homepage is great because it has a call to action in the beginning, which on every homepage pretty much you should have a call to action. And let's check out the on page for the homepage. So we got HTTP, which I'm pretty sure you said, Kurai, that was SSL, but it's not actually showing SSL right now, so I don't know.
Okay, yeah, there is an HTTPS version, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know why that's not popping up, but definitely want to make sure that that switches over. So SSL correctly implemented. Meta keywords needs to get removed because it's not even a thing anymore. Is this a WordPress website?
No, it's custom.
Okay.
PH.
So page one, find thousands of jobs. So, I mean, I don't know what you're specifically targeting. So I guess exclusive jobs in health and social care. If we go to like SEMrush, you know how old this site is?
I don't think it's very old at all. Maybe a couple of years. I mean, the URL or the site itself.
Just the domain, like just the URL.
Yeah, the domain. I mean, I don't
how
think it's very old, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Oops, sorry, I didn't go through. All right. So, I mean, just based off of SEMrush, it looks like we're starting to show up for some keywords, but obviously not really pulling in too much rankings at the moment. So, I mean, one of the big things is just kind of figuring out what the overall keyword topical focus is. So like kind of going in and discovering what's the lowest hanging fruit for this niche. By chance, were you able to grant me analytics and Search Console yet?
Yeah, I'm just going to do that for you now.
Oops.
Are we live on YouTube, Chase? Or
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are. Okay, great. I'll just.
So I don't know what the deal with this is, but there's a very slow load time being pulled in through PageSpeed tools from Google. Let's check out if it's the same on GTmetrix. But I mean, some of the basic stuff you'll see on a lot of sites, which is like, compressing the images, eliminating render blocking JavaScript, which it's kind of hard to get away from that when you have like call to actions and stuff like this. Enabling compression for the HTML, and caching, which if you have the right hosting, it'll do that for you. But I mean, really, there should not be a 2 out of 3 score. I mean, 2 out of 100 score on Google, but same thing on GT metrics. So this is one of the things that's really going to limit our rankings, because Google really looks at, you know, page speed as a huge ranking factor right now. So we need to figure out, like, specifically what we can do to improve, you know, the speed on the site. So that's going to be one of the biggest things to focus on first. So and then let me check out what we got for the link metrics.
Well, Chase, I'm going to head off and get you all this information. So if you don't hear from me for a little while, I'm working away in the background.
All right, no worries.
All right.
All right. So let me go into, oh, I'm logged in now, so I can go back, refresh. Leaf and Ralph are in the house. What's up, guys? Okay, so it's saying page authority 1, domain authority 1, so I'm assuming it's because this is still a pretty new site. So markup in OG data, we're not really seeing getting pulled here, and then the HTTP status is 200, so looks like it is pointing to the HTTP version, not the SSL version. So no markup on the home page, so need to implement schema markup and OG data, which these are pretty easy to do if you have WordPress, but if we're using custom HTML, it's a little bit trickier. So that's kind of one of those things where it's like, you know, if you're using WordPress, it's one of those small perks you get. All right, so other than that, the homepage doesn't look too bad. There isn't really much content explaining. So we could have another tab here which explains what this website's about, with link silos going to the other important pages. Because, like, for instance, browse by categories. You know, this is great, but it's a little bit hard to have Google understand what the page is about if there isn't really anything talking about the website. So, I mean, it's not necessary, but, you know, consider putting a little more content on homepage explaining what that homepage is about. So next thing we're going to look at is like some of the basics. If there's a sitemap, I don't see a sitemap. We'll be able to see it through Search Console, but if there's no sitemap, we definitely want to get that going. And then we're just going to go and see what's actually being indexed so far. So we'll just do site : this. Mark says, hey, Chase, I asked you earlier, but I think you were a bit busy. If I use Instapage as my homepage, how bad is it for SEO? It's actually not too bad. I think Backlinko actually does that. So you'll see 311 things being indexed. I don't know if this site's that big, but we definitely want to make sure that if it is, you know, that's all the correct stuff being indexed. So, for instance, the login page doesn't really need to be indexed unless people are typing in, you know, work and social care login, but I doubt it. The pages are paginated, which is fine. About us, search jobs and gosh, I can't say that word. Vacancies. There we go. So if I open this up, so all of these pages are showing. I don't know if they're using the rel prev rel next. If they aren't, then we really want to make sure that that's happening. So if I view page source and I type in prev, not happening. So on any of the pages, like I said, if they're paginated, always want to have the rel next and rel prev tags. Otherwise, this is going to look like duplicate content. So on all paginated pages, we want to use rel next and rel prev tags. Cancel out of there. And we're going to go back into the site, see what else is being indexed. So contact us, job by category. So employer forgot password, we probably don't need that stuff. Details.php job auto ID equals 59. So these are the type of pages where I think, you know, I don't know if these are the things that should be indexed because I don't know how similar this content is to everywhere else. And I think this is what we were talking about, is these are people who are going in here, creating content or whatever it is, and these might be duplicate posts. So I'm going to say, you know, it would be a good idea, should ask SEO community on best practice for duplicate content pages, like, because it would be fine if all of these people had, like, you know, content that wasn't showing up everywhere else. But if it's going to be everywhere else, and this is a page that you're going to see on 6 other websites, I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm pretty sure it's not. So if we keep going through here, another thing that I'm noticing is a lot of this stuff is like PHP, I believe, which it gets a little bit more confusing when you have stuff like this. So like ID equals 10, because potentially what could start happening is that we end up getting, you know, 500 pages happening just because of certain scenarios where, you know, things are getting indexed because this is such it's a website that produces so much content. So public managed. So like it's hard, and it's also hard to identify what all these different pages are because they all have different like IDs. So if I go into Screaming Frog, which should be right here, and then I go to HTML, and then I scroll down all the way over here, whoops, you'll see there's actually like 2,000 URLs, and only, what was it, 300 of them are indexed so far. So that's probably because Google hasn't crawled all the URLs yet because there's so many being produced. Either that or a lot of them are no indexed, which, you know, that's probably a good thing. So if I go into here and I look at, let me go over here. Hold on, I'm trying to find the index status. No, sorry, that's the wrong status. I want to find robots. So all of these robots are saying, I mean, there's no index tag. So, I mean, all of these pages are pretty much saying, hey, Google, index me, which we don't know how many of these pages we should be indexing and which ones we shouldn't, because a lot of this stuff is probably not just like the profiles, but also like all these different categories. So if we go to this one, job by category, question mark, category equals 10. This is something that's probably being indexed. You can see there's no index tag, but at the same time, it's a page there with nothing on it. So when we start getting hundreds of pages like this showing up, what's going to end up happening is we're just going to have a bunch of thin content, and Google's going to end up penalizing us for it. And also, it's going to bog down our crawl rates, and then Google's not going to crawl any of our stuff because there's so many low quality pages. So, I mean, we kind of have to figure out what we want to do in that regard. A lot of it's going to have to be no indexing pages like the ones that are being produced that are thin content and no purpose. So like stuff like this, job auto ID equals 37, those other pages. So, I mean, that's something that I probably have to ask about, because this is like one of those websites that's so more into like the technical aspect of things with like all of these different profiles. But it's something we really want to figure out. So, I mean, besides that stuff, what we actually want to look at is, like, for instance, you know, there's going to be a lot of also expired like 301 or 404s or 301s like in these people's profiles, probably, unless you're not allowing them to link. So if you're not allowing them to link, you don't have to worry about it as much. But with websites like this, say, like, for instance, these people have an image that, you know, expires or something weird happens, it's probably a good idea to be constantly monitoring like any sort of technical errors. So, you know, just simply plugging this site into like some sort of SEO audit checker that audits your website like every week for you is a good way to do this. Like, consider setting up something like SEO profiler to continuously monitor links for any 404 pages, and then as well as rank tracking. So I mean, some of the big stuff around this is not going to just be the like the actual on page, but is more like figuring out what the actual architecture of the site looks like at first, because of the ability for the site to get so large so quickly. So let's go back to Screaming Frog. And so like I could go into these pages and tell you like specifically what we should be doing through keyword research, you know, on the topical seeding and whatnot, but it's more important to actually see what's being produced at a large scale. So if we go into Title 1 and we look at, you know, for instance, all of these title tags that are exactly the same, that's one thing that we're already noticing as a huge problem. So having, you know, hundreds of pages that have the exact same titles is going to be a long-term problem, especially if we keep producing these. So we're running into a problem where a lot of our title tags are exactly the same. All titles should be all titles should be unique. And if they're not, then they should be no indexed. So let's go back into here. And like I said, you know, you can focus on pages like one by one, but when you look at something like Screaming Frog, you can identify problems at a much larger scale, which is kind of what we're looking at right now. So this might even be like a multi-audit level process where you fix all of the main errors, and then we figure out what the other errors are that we should be fixing on a more, you know, page by page basis. So same thing with H1 tags. You know, these can be the same on multiple pages, but they should pretty much be different. They should be matching usually the title tags. So same thing with H1 tags. Usually want to match the unique title tags as well. And not have duplicates of those. So we're going to keep scrolling over. So you'll see another big problem is that, you know, almost all of these pages are missing meta descriptions. So huge amount of pages missing meta descriptions, which is a huge problem because, you know, even though Google's going to be pulling meta descriptions based off what's in the actual page, it's better to say, hey, Google, we actually spend time on our website making sure that this is friendly for you to crawl, and, you know, we want you to crawl us. So huge amount of pages missing meta descriptions. We want to make sure to add these. And just by like fixing these things in the beginning is going to save a lot of work in the long run, because if you think of, you know, having the site for another year or two producing content and all of these issues come up, that's not going to be a fun thing to fix when you can fix it early on. So no canonical links. I mean, in some cases, it's good to have the canonicals point to their own pages. And you'll see that the page response times look like they're pretty low. I guess it's just the actual server load times that are making it longer. I don't know. And then you can see there's a couple redirected URLs. So that's what we're noticing through here. And then also if we go to Zenu, we'll probably be identifying some broken links, especially with the size of this site and multiple people setting up profiles on different pages. So you'll see there's a good amount of 404s. So this is just like, you know, what I'm talking about is continually monitoring any sort of errors. So oops, I don't know why I can't click this. Here we go. I can, well, and that's the other thing is with websites like this, it's a lot harder to do fixing broken links because you don't have like plugins like WordPress to go and scan everything and fix it for you. So, so the other thing that we're talking about is, well, let's see. Karai, were you able to grant me the Search Console data yet?
Hi, Zach. Yeah, I've actually sent it over to you. I don't know if you've been notified via email or.
Oh, okay. Let me check my email really quick. What do you think so far, man?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of they said that it's a job site, so I mean, we're actually expecting hundreds and if not, thousands of new pages being created on a monthly basis. And that's our concern, making sure that these pages are job posts, so there'd be employers posting positions up and down the country here in the UK, and we want to make sure that there is, the fundamentals of the site can support that.
Right.
If you get my drift.
Totally. Yeah. I'm actually going to ask that one question right now in the Google Plus community, because I want to know what the best practice would be for having all of those different profiles on there. One of the big things with this site, though, honestly, man, isn't just going to be getting these people, indexed on Google, but actually bringing these people in. So a lot of that's going to come down to content marketing. So that's going to be super, super big on this website. Hold on, let me just, before I dive into that, let me just say this. Working on another site, wondering what the best practice for duplicate content pages like this would be. These postings are showing up on other sites because they are user submitted. All right. Cool. So while we're waiting on that. So yeah, I mean, like, we're going to want to do things similar to what other people. So name a couple of your competitors again. It was like Indeed.
Yeah, Indeed, for example. CV Library, I think they're called Resume Library. In your neck of the woods, CV Library. And I'd probably say Jobs Go Public, potentially. Jobs Go Public. So they're probably the three, standout examples that we can use.
Okay.
So I don't know how advanced they are in terms of. I mean, us being a very new site, obviously we're not going to be on, first on Google, but we want to make sure that fundamentally we've got everything right so that we can be as soon as possible, to be honest. In terms of sort of content marketing, yeah, we're aware that we're going to need to be doing lots of, social media posts and the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, we don't want to be working, we want to be working smart, I suppose.
Right. Yeah, totally. I mean, you don't want to just be doing random stuff for no reason. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm going to look at these guys and see specifically what they're going for, because, if they're ranking for things that are similar to what you're ranking for, then we can pretty much just see what they're going for and kind of come up with an idea based off that. So you'll see that they were actually doing really well back in 2010. Then they got hit with a penalty, I believe, probably about here, which was related to Penguin or something links. And it looks like they're going up now. But you'll see, like, for a lot of the keywords they're getting clicks for, I presume, are probably things like role, I don't know, HLTA, roles and responsibilities, interview outfit winner. So like these are all things around content marketing. So even though we want to get our topical seeding correct, like what we're going for, and in the beginning to build authority, we're going to want to spend a lot of time building out really good content. So let me go back over to, and the other thing is that we start getting links based off the content. We don't usually get links based off the, what's it called? The, just the website. People aren't just going to want to link to this website for no reason. They're going to want to link to the content. So relieve your stress with these 3 meditation apps. This is good stuff. It's just that with this kind of stuff, this is where you make these posts when you're actually like a huge authority, and you only need to do 3 things. When you first start doing blogging, it's better to start with like huge skyscraper posts that are going to be around like 50 ways to remove stress or something, linkable than 3 meditation apps. I'm not saying that's not good. It's good that you did that, but for the long-term strategy, we need to figure out. Also, it looks like there's a 302. So whatever link was on the homepage is being redirected to this page. So we want to figure out why interlinking from homepage is pointing to redirects on blog. And then like just basic stuff on the blog too. So like no meta description. The page title isn't actually what the blog's going for. So like we're trying to rank for relieve your stress with 3 meditation apps, but this just says work and social care. So this is just being pretty much picked up on Google as the exact same page as the homepage. And we don't want that to happen. So the blog posts all need to be unique as well, and use SEO best practices. Also, it's good to have some sort of call to action. So we got the newsletter here, but what we could do is we could actually cancel out of that. We could put some sort of call to action in here where it's like download the 3 apps straight to your email or something. And then this right here, this is called above the fold, and we don't want the above the fold just only being an image. We want it to start being read, so when people hit this page, they don't have to scroll down to start reading. So we want to make featured images on blog a bit smaller, so text isn't under the fold, and also add some sort of CTA in blog posts for generating either newsletter signups or forming some sort of a Facebook group, which this is working really well, and Facebook groups are tremendously undervalued right now. So other than that, the link silos look great. And then the only other thing I would probably say is, assuming that there wasn't schema on the homepage, there's probably not schema on the blog. So let me just check that out. KJ's in the house. What's up, KJ? So yeah, no schema. I mean, I don't have to put this on every page, but schema just needs to get dialed in, and so does the OG data. Because if we go and try to share this on Facebook right now, which is going to be a big part of what we were talking about before, we're going to want to spend a lot of time focusing more on the content and the social of things when we first get started. If people were to go and try to share this page, or you wanted to share this page and build like social signals or authority, what's going to end up happening is they're going to share this on Facebook or Twitter, and then it's just going to say this.
Yeah. So
that's not very attractive. So that's what the OG data is. So we just have to go in and dial that in for different posts. So yeah, other than that, I mean, I think what really needs to happen is kind of understand main topical focus for keywords, which just means spending some time going into different competitors and seeing what are the main things they're ranking for, or what are they going for, and then spending a little bit of time building out our main pages around what we think we could go for. So I mean, it's just a little bit of competitive keyword research and spending a little bit more time trying to go for our keyword research. So understand main topical focus for keywords, spend a little bit of time getting familiar with what industry is ranking for, and see what low-hanging fruit we can go target in the beginning. So for instance, we're never going to be able to rank for like what Indeed's ranking for, but we could probably go for something around, I don't know specifically what Indeed's going for, but like for instance, if we see find thousands of jobs online, there might be something like find thousands of jobs online in 2017 or something like that we could go for, and then eventually re-optimize once we start building authority to the blog, start getting links, start getting social presence, and start doing all the stuff we need to do to rank for our more competitive keywords. So other than that, it's just kind of the big thing really is just figuring out what's being indexed. So this is the thing that's going to take the most time, is like specifically identifying all of the pages that are being generated. So identify pages that are being generated and figure out which ones should be indexed and which ones shouldn't. And the reason why this is the most important thing is because, well, this next to the page speed that we were seeing is because there's going to be thousands and thousands of pages generated on this website. And unless we're extremely authoritative, which we're not yet, or authoritative, I guess, Google's not going to want to index all of our stuff. And we're going to end up running into problems where we're going to create new blog posts, and then it's going to take us a year to get that indexed or whatever it is. And so the only way out of that is making sure that we're only indexing quality pages. And so what we're going to have to do is we're going to actually have to go through all of these reoccurring URLs. So the ones that I'll say, you know, jobs.php, question mark, you know, whatever it is, and then just grouping all of those, and then grouping. A lot of this you can do through an Excel spreadsheet. And then once we have all of our different, you know, things that we see are being generated, and we identify that, you know, there's 30 different types of main types of URLs that are being generated, then we just want to figure out, okay, we should only index these 10 types that are being continuously generated, which are all around the things that people are actually putting their content on, and everything else we should make sure we're not indexing. So that's kind of the most confusing thing about this site. Everything else is kind of like, you know, just basic stuff, keyword research, content marketing, social media stuff, and then making sure that all of our pages are, you know, using different title tags, using different meta descriptions, and then actually implementing in, you know, meta descriptions. And so, gosh, I don't really want to keep moving forward because I feel like, you know, there's already so many things where it's like, it probably the best thing to do would be to readdress everything after these main things are going to be taken care of, because like I said, most of the time is going to be spent trying to figure out what should be indexed and what shouldn't be. Yeah, it looks like Search Console wasn't even implemented till about a month ago. But other than that, I mean, it's a nice site, and, you know, the good news is that it's not like trashed or anything. Like, you know, these are all good problems to have. It's just trying to figure out the best direction to take, because the long term is that, you know, the short term is you spend a little bit of money to figure it out, but the long term effect is that, you know, for the next 5 or 10 years or however long this site lasts, you're not, you know, needing to go back and hire somebody to fix thousands of URLs for you, which is going to take, you know, so many hours. Where right now you only have like 2,000 URLs, which, you know, that's not something that takes too long to fix.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's why we wanted to sort of catch it early. But in relation to indexing, I mean, all of those URLs, Chase, I mean, they're jobs. You know, they're jobs that, you know, just like you want to go out and hire someone. You'd hope that job would appear on Google and someone would, you know, it'd attract some traffic. So we surely would want it to be indexed.
Right. No, definitely. And I think that's what everybody else is doing. I just wanted to double check on that because, like, you know, that's something that probably Google like understands as like something that happens in this industry. So you're probably fine in that regard. It's just there's other things that I'm seeing that's not only related to like the fact that there might be duplicate content. There was like things showing up, like pages that are being indexed, which are literally just blank pages. So like this one's fine. I mean, it would be nice if possible. I don't think it's probably not possible because you have to create unique IDs on all this stuff. But, you know, if you could have actually unique URLs for these, you know, for instance, like work in social care / whatever the, you know, job posting or whatever it is / you know, Brookdale Care, city, because then you actually hopefully start ranking for stuff around their brand in those different cities. But with these URLs, it's a little bit more difficult. And then you'll see also on this, dude, is like all of these different pages, since we are most like, I mean, 99% sure we are going to keep these indexed, is that, you know, all of these are the exact same title tag. So, you know, you're going to be right now, what's happening is Google's probably just picking up all of these pages as duplicate content. Or at least the titles. So like, for instance, you'll see the huge crawl rate starting to spike up, and then a huge drop. And now it's just continuing to fall, because that's what happens is Google probably started picking up, okay, these are all the pages that we're starting to index, and then all of these look pretty similar. Okay, we're going to stop crawling as many pages. So we really want to make sure that when we go into here that all of these pages are as unique as possible. So what that would probably look like is just making sure that we're pulling, you know, whatever the first 50 to 75 characters are from this page. I don't know if it would be Brookdale Healthcare, ground floor 2 Parklands, and then just put that as the title. But, you know, it has to be similar to like what probably Indeed's doing, where if we go in there, and really a lot of it's not really reinventing the wheel, but just going in and finding like, okay, what are other sites doing to make their titles show as unique, because they probably are paying tons of money for these to show up, you know, differently by the SEOs they're paying who know this stuff. So like, for instance, you'll see job description, and then the title is interactive designer, CJ marketing. So I don't know if I would go with job description as the first part, but so let me view page source and see if they're indexing this. You can also see that they're compressing the hell out of their HTML, which not too bad. So you'll see the meta description. Well, that's the OG description, which doesn't look like they did that too well. But if we look at the meta description, you'll see this is also click the link provided to see the complete job description. So that's probably duplicate as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that even probably Indeed could do better, just by simply like pulling the first 155 characters from the sentence and putting it into the meta or something, you know? But yeah, I mean, the first really big things are reducing the load time, making all the title tags and meta descriptions unique. I mean, not even all of them, but just like trying to make them as unique as possible, because it might not be possible in every scenario. Like, for instance, you can see Indeed's just putting click here to see the full job description, but even that's better than the fact that we're missing meta descriptions. And they at least make their titles different as well. So those are the two really big ones. And then other than that is going to be going through site architecture, because this is going to be a large job trying to figure out, you know, all of the different things that should be indexed and what's not, because of all the different PHP things that are being generated. Figure out what should be indexed and what shouldn't. Doing the schema markup. Right now, all of the pages have no schema markup, which, you know, that would be good to do. Probably doing some sort of monitoring, site health monitoring. So, oops, setting up. So what that means is just getting the continuous reporting of any broken links, rank tracking, 404 pages, etc. Because I feel like this is the type of site that's probably going to experience a lot of those with all the different profiles being set up and whatnot. And then I mean, really just diving into the content marketing side of things. So actually, sorry, the keyword research and topical focus for main pages. So like making sure that, you know, we have a basic theme for our main pages that we're going for, even if it's like something long tail in the beginning. And then I mean, there's a lot of things I could say, like making sure we're setting up conversion tracking, making sure that we're doing, you know, on-page link building. But the other thing is like, you know, generating cornerstone content around our main keywords and start building linkable assets. What that means is it's not as important to have 10 tips to build something on a blog post as it is for like 100 ways to, or the complete guide to XYZ, because that's something that's going to provide long-term value, long-term conversions. It's going to start helping you build up your authority. It's going to start helping you build up links. It's going to do a bunch of stuff for you that the 10 tips to something's never going to do. So having just a couple of those going in the beginning is, you know, is extremely valuable to any new website. So I always recommend that in the beginning. And then everything else is like, you know, like I said, like link silos on main pages. And that's a little bit easier to do once you understand like the keyword topical focus, once you understand like what all the main pages should be that we're trying to rank for, and then building out the main pages for the things that we're trying to rank for. And then once, you know, main issues are addressed, dialing in like on-page SEO on a more page-by-page basis. Because right now we're just kind of looking at the overview of things that need to be fixed, but then eventually we're going to want to figure out what we can do to really dial in the SEO for the main pages, making them as relevant to what Google's looking for as possible. And then the last one would probably be just like setting up some sort of conversion tracking to match the efforts of what we're doing, so that we know that the SEO that we're doing is, you know, actually driving conversions, which is the main point of doing SEO in the end. Really, is not just branding and impressions, but actually having people go and buy your stuff. So, like I said, I could keep going into like, you know, more of the specifics, but really the main things need to be addressed first before we dive into like, you know, oh, the home page needs to have, you know, 2 more heading tags addressing, you know, LSI variations or synonym variations of your keywords. Like, we don't want to look at that yet until we get these big ones fixed, like, you know, the site architecture, what's being indexed, the reducing the load times, making all the titles and metas unique. So there's some big site-wide changes that need to be implemented first before everything else kind of starts being considered. So you start out with like more of a far out view of what needs to happen, and then you can start looking at more of the granular things as you move forward. What do you think, Ray?
Yeah, it's exactly what I was looking for, Chase. I mean, well, I wanted you to just have a look with your, you know, your skill set really, and give us an idea of where we can make improvements. I mean, obviously, some of this information we were aware of, but it's always good to have someone like you who's got the knowledge to sort of have a look over things. You know, I do think that with the, you know, the sort of, I mean, I'm not too sure what this was it called, siloing? Is it link?
It's just basically interlinking, just linking to other important pages on the site.
Okay, interesting. All right, so yeah, I mean, I think we'll have a little conversation maybe after this video or in the next couple of days about how we can work together to try to sort of implement some of this stuff. I mean, you know, unfortunately, it's not being built with a CMS. I mean, it's a custom build.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that, you know, if it was on WordPress or another CMS, things would be a lot easier. But at the time, we decided to go down the custom route for some reason, and we're stuck with it now. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's taken us about 2 years to get to this stage. We've been building
Wow.
this. Yeah, so it's 2 years in the making, and yeah, so it's and I suppose we're going to carry on building from the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how hard it is to like do site-wide changes like what we're talking about with, like, for instance, the making sure all the title tags are unique, or because I know with like WordPress in certain scenarios the plugins that you have can you just include like percent symbols with whatever you're matching, and it'll pull the information from whatever you're doing. But with like custom coding and stuff, I don't know if it's really hard to do certain things like that because I'm not that technical in terms of like coding. So
yeah, no, I mean the majority. I mean, we do have developers, obviously, so the majority of the stuff that they'll be picking up in. I mean, we've already got on our CMS the option to sort of edit and change tags, and what we initially did is we allowed for some of the standout pages, the jobs page and the courses page on it and the about us page, and but we didn't really drill down to these job post pages, which like you've shown us today, all seem to have the same page title,
right.
which can't be very good. So we need to drill down into those and try to figure out how we're going to sort of move on, move forward. Maybe, like you said, maybe pull from the first a sentence from the first line of a description, or try to figure out how we're going to name these pages, really.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
just by simply changing stuff like that in the beginning is going to tremendously help you in the long run, because think of what you're going to have to do when you notice something like that a year down the line, and you realize that you could have had like thousands more people visiting your site a day just because you had unique title tags that people were actually looking at, like, or looking for on Google. And now that it's the same thing on everything or on every post, Google's not indexing any of it. So just simple stuff like addressing a lot of these main points is going to make in the long run a tremendous difference. And then you can, like I said, start focusing on more of the granular things that you're going to want to do in the long run. But a lot of this stuff is more of like site-wide changes in the beginning, and then kind of reassessing where you're at after you fix some of these big things that are going to be really slowing you down in the long run.
Yeah, great. I mean, a quick question before we head off, Chase. I mean, with reducing the load times, I mean, we've got lots of images on the site, and each new employer has a different logo, and we resize the logos ourselves. But I mean, should we be sort of reducing the pixels? Should we be sort of looking more into, or is that a server thing, or I mean, how do we reduce the size of some of these resources, if you like, that are clogging up the website?
Oh, well, I mean, I'd have to look back at the page speed, but what I just noticed, man, is that the non-HTTPS version doesn't redirect to the HTTPS version. So that's one of the big things where you're going to start running into duplicate content issues as well. Because if you have the SSL version and that's getting indexed, you need to make sure that the other ones redirect to the SSL version. So let me just add that in there. And then addressing the site speed. So let me go into GTmetrix. I mean, GTmetrix, if you just run the scan, it'll show you like what needs to actually be fixed. But it's weird because Screaming Frog's picking up something different. They're picking up the like a 1 second load time. So I don't know why it's showing differently over here. Let me see, general attributes 3. See, so the HTTPS version actually has a 3 second load time. So it might be that the old version just has a slower, no, well, this is actually a little bit faster, but you'll see like it's saying serve scaled images, use compression, enable keep alive, leverage browser caching, optimize images, minify CSS. So, I mean, you know, a lot of the stuff around what the web designers can actually do. So this is actually a 4.6 second load time. So just by doing a couple of these things, you probably actually get down to like a 2 second. So this is actually a lot better than what I saw on the other one. Yeah, you'll see just the page sizes look like they're pretty large. So I think a lot of it has to do with all of the multimedia and probably the JavaScript and whatnot that's on these pages. But yeah, I mean, one of the other big things, making sure that the SSL version is pointing to the correct version. Where is it? So just doing those redirects. Yeah. So yeah, you'll see also there's like 0 links to this website right now. And the reason for that is because, you know, it's so new and we actually probably don't have any super linkable content, especially with the fact that, you know, a lot of it's not really showing the correct stuff that it needs to on a metadata level. Like for instance, the titles and it's not very shareable on social. So, you know, it just kind of goes into like once those things are fixed, kind of just going into setting up social media posts with a purpose in mind, which generally is around building an audience. For what you're targeting. So, I mean, for instance, I have a Facebook group where I get tons of SEOs into the Facebook group because of my videos. And then what ends up happening is if I make a post and I ask for people to link to it, it's a lot easier to get links that way. So same thing with my email newsletters. All of it's just basically based around like a 3-step system where step 1 is creating the super high value content, step 2 is driving people to the post, and then step 3 is getting them to sign up for whatever it is, and then usually either getting them to enter a Facebook group or an email newsletter, which then I can pretty much do whatever I want from there, you know, generate reviews, generate links, doing a bunch of stuff, which is going to help build authority and then continue to snowball. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I would say for now. I don't want to give you more stuff than that because a lot of these things, like I said, it's like this alone is going to take a good amount of time to fix. And just adding more stuff to that's going to kind of just overcomplicate things.
Yeah, sounds perfect, Chase. I mean, as I said, let's go away and see how we can tackle this stuff, and then we can come back more later on for some more.
Yeah, definitely. Let me just end this stream. So thank you all for joining us today. Hopefully it's helpful to some of you guys as well. If you haven't liked the video, please give it a like, and we'll see you guys in the next video.